Welcome everybody to another day of wonderful Overwatch here at the EGFC as we are kicking off our spring split with a matchup of giants. Jag, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing great, and like you said, Giants, they are Goliaths, both these teams. Rochester Institute of Technology and University of Texas Arlington coming in at 8-0. So these teams, they have gone completely undefeated through the fall split. They're carrying those records into the spring split. All those games are going to add up as we go into championships later on in the postseason. But the teams got here a little bit in different ways. RIT, they haven't lost a map since week 4 in October, but UT, they struggled a bit at the end of the fall split.
Yeah, you know, the last 2 weeks of the fall split seemed to spell a little bit of trouble for them, losing one map in week 8 and I believe 2 in week 9 up against CU. But we've got our map pool for today lined up to see how these teams are going to be have seen on the bench for quite some time. Ilios is going to be our first go at it.
Yeah, Ilios is a map I have not seen in a long time. The map pool has been changed a little bit for the spring split versus the fall split. Before, it was a different map pool every week. This time, it's going to be a little bit less dynamic, so we'll see some maps back-to-back. So that should be exciting. Some teams will be able to build up some consistency. But like we said, Ilios, haven't seen it in a little bit, and I'm very excited, especially for Well. It's Boop City. I mean, there is no other place I've seen more players get knocked off the map into besides that map, where it's just that giant hole in the center. So maybe we'll see some Orisa back into it. I've weirdly seen some double shield. There really isn't a specific meta right now, so there's a lot of opportunities for unique compositions.
Yeah, definitely Overwatch being in a position where everything feels comfortable. There's no longer a very defined and specified route that you have to go to get to victory. I've seen a lot of Hammond being played. We talked earlier a little bit about how Double Bubble Poke is kind of beginning to peek its head back out with a couple of the meta changes that have happened. So really happy that the meta is in the position that it's in, because it's what allows these two teams to really just let their imaginations run wild.
Yeah, and speaking more about Wrecking Ball, or Hammond as he is better known by the Overwatch community, there was a player that was really good on Wrecking Ball for University of Texas Arlington. That was Tomato Lord, but I've spoken to the team a little bit. Tomato Lord, unfortunately, is not going to be on the roster this semester, so we've got a different tank lineup we're going to be seeing from UTA, and Tomato Lord was so important for the success they had throughout the season, so I'm wondering how it's going to be today with those new players coming into the lineup.
Well, we're not going to have to wait too long to figure that out. Our teams are ready, and they are heading on into the map. Now, if you had to pick your winner, I know what I'm going with, and this is purely just, I'm from Texas. I was born and raised in Houston. I live in Austin, so I'm going to have to give it to Arlington just out of state loyalty. But who are you picking for your winner?
I don't know. I think, honestly, this could go either way. Both these teams, as I said, are undefeated, so there's a lot on the line for both of them. I mean, they're competing against Maris, the only other team right now that's defeated as well, undefeated. So there's so much at stake. Both these teams are going to be playing their hearts out, and we're seeing a little bit of that Wrecking Ball online for both sides. So I'm wondering how Lortler is going to compare to Tomato Lord. There's some big shoes to fill. They're going to be running the Zarya, so they have that bubble to protect Hammond as he rolls around.
I was going to ask, Hammond being such a versatile tank, he can be running that main tank slot or in that off-tank slot. So with this difference where you see Link going on to the Reinhardt and Wumi onto the Zarya, what does that bring to the table for the two different teams?
I mean, they're running a straight-up brawl. They're going to have that speed. They're going to have that tank buster in Reaper, so they can run up and play a much better front line because they're going to have a lot more protection. They're going to try to go all the way around, and oh, that Hanzo almost got caught out, so Ultra Polito going to have to back up.
Yeah, but able to find himself a little bit of safety, but Blue Jay and Essel are just going to be barreling into the bottom of the lighthouse to find themselves a couple of kills to set it up, but quick Dude popping back at the last moment to find a double kill is going to set things up for Lortler, who's going to be able to come in on the hand and was pretty much unseen throughout that fight, but came in at the perfect moment to secure that ground and pound.
Yeah, Ultra Polito able to run away, Dude able to find 3 finishing blows there. So the biggest thing about this brawl comp is you have to finish fights quickly. You got to run into the entirety of the team, but there are going to be people on the side like Lortler that aren't going to be easy to finish off, and I'm sure Lortler is going to be waiting for an opportunity to boot the rest of RIT into that well.
And you can see how coy Lortler's being at the moment as they approach the side. Looks for the boop, finds one! There it is! Blue Blue Jay. Doesn't look like that's the flying kind of Blue Jay that I've known my whole life. Definitely taking a bit of a stone drop. Now that's going to open things up right now for UT Arlington, as RIT is going to have to back out of the fight completely.
And UT Arlington already has mines, they already have Dragon Strike, but you see there's Zarya. Wumi has not been able to get much going. Those bubbles have not been landing. Zarya doesn't have a lot of range, so they aren't going to have that combination, but they're just going to throw the Dragons in.
Oh, the Dragons go in. The Choco Man on the side is going to be able to find that kill onto Ultra Polito, so RIT will have the man advantage as the Reinhardt moves on to point. Dude falling into the well on their own accord, it seems. This is going to allow for the rest of RIT to clean up and take the point, given Essel is able to give the aggressive stance already positioned, able to find one with the help of Link. And now it's pretty much open season for RIT as they take down the rest of UT Arlington. And they're going to have ults to boot for this next fight.
They will indeed. They're going to have everything except that coalescence for the side of RIT, but it took them so long to take the point. It's going to come down to one more fight. If they lose one, they're going to have to recontest very quickly. So the biggest thing for them is not to use everything all at once. Save at least 2 or 3 more for the next few fights coming up. Meanwhile, for Arlington, they committed the nano there at the very end. They used it on Super Juice, so they have that rally, but I think that's something they could have saved for later.
Well, they're going to go ahead and use that rally right out the gate. Link as well going to be throwing in that Shatter. Is going to catch a couple of members, but not too much to talk about as Choco Man and Blue Jay walk their way onto the point and into the kill feed. Dude is able to find one, but the Deadeye not finding the value that you really want to get out of such a deadly ultimate. As we get a bit of a standoff there towards spawn, Choco Man is going to be able to keep them at bay as UT Arlington has to go back to the drawing board.
It was a great fight from RIT. They only used 2 ults, the Death Blossom and the Shatter. They still have 3 more to use. That Coalescence also almost back online. UT Arlington, they almost have their winning fight combination, which is the Dragon Strike Wave the Graviton Surge. It's taken Wumi a long time to build it up. The question is, can they get Ashwell's Sound Barrier out? They need to make sure they can get it out so that extra healing won't be there.
Oh, and the Sound Barrier coming out immediately. Wumi does have to use the Graviton to counter Blue Jay. And in the process, draws out actual sound barriers. So now Ultra Polito has the door open, but it's not open very wide. Wumi, with no Graviton online anymore for UT Arlington, Polito was going to have to find a creative way to get the most out of his Dragons.
Yeah, you think, why isn't Ultra Polito throwing the Dragons? They didn't have it. They were at 98% once the Grav was over, so just a bit of a mistiming there, maybe a panic play from Wumi. Now RIT, all they have to do is open things up with this Coalescence. They can use the Deadeye as follow-up, and already they've gotten the first pick. Yeah,
the Deadeye comes out as they come around the corner, will find Super Juice. Lordler somehow just barely able to survive the boop onto Wumi. There it is. RIT gonna be able to take the first map, and although UT Arlington had a very strong showing at the beginning, didn't have the best approaches to the point after the fact. They had a lot of difficulty taking that back from RIT.
Yeah, just not the best planning of ultimates and usage of ultimates for UTA. There were combinations they had. Again, that Dragon Strike with the Graviton Surge is really their fight winner. So the fact that they used the Grav a bit too early was going to sink their chances. Dragon Strike, it can create space, but unless you've got all of them stuck in one area, it's not nearly as useful. I think the biggest thing for UTA right now is they need to swap off the Zarya. I don't think it's going to keep getting the value they want it to. It's very hard to be playing the Zarya if a Wrecking Ball keeps running around. Something like a Diva or maybe even a Reinhardt would be better because the Reinhardt can just protect your squishier characters, but for now they're going to be taking the Skies. They're going to have the Pharah as well as the Echo, but there's no mercy to pocket either of them.
No mercy to pocket either of them, and they will be bringing out the Zenyatta, who recently got a small nerf. Looks like they're going for as much damage as they can possibly get.
They're gonna try.
Yeah, UT Arlington is able to position themselves onto the point at the very beginning here, but Rochester just patiently taking their time, finding out as much information on where everybody is. Now they're able to rush on and Link. He's got the rest of UT Arlington in his sight. And now, UT Arlington in a similar position, although showing a very aggressive stance and taking the point early, haven't really been able to keep their presence known, and Lortler just kind of hanging off to the side there. Hasn't been able to bring himself back on, just got back onto the map. Able to pose a small threat, but really it's just the cleanup right now from RIT.
And right now, I'm just not a fan of UTA's comp. It's so low healing that your Pharah and Echo are kind of held out to dry. They gotta try to find health packs around the map. Dez does have that orb that can follow around, but that orb doesn't do a lot of healing, so the Mercy will still be the suggestion I'd just like try to give to them. And also, the Zarya, maybe try to go for a Diva instead, something that's also pretty quick and fast if you want to run this kind of hybrid dive Sky comp. For now, they're going to be struggling against what's a very brawl comp from RT once again.
Skydive composition from UT Arlington just not holding up to snuff right now, as Ultra Polito does get taken out. That's going to cause a couple of trades now. RIT still having the upper hand on bodies. 5v4. Dude finally able to get to the backline onto this Echo. As UTA tries and struggles to get themselves back into the fight, Dez is going to be able to find a kill onto Blue Jay, looking for a boop. Lordler, however, coming out of that roll in a very unfortuitous position. Has the minefield ready and is going to commit it to the point where the sound barrier from Actual is going to keep RIT in the fray. Lido is going to use the barrage there at the very end, but only able to find one before getting taken out by RIT. And this is going to cause UT Arlington to commit every ultimate that they've got. Blue Jay, however, still has this Graviton. Deadeye as well, still online for Choco Man. RIT in the Graviton, the Deadeye not needed, as they're going to be able to deal with the respawns from UT Arlington and keep control of the point.
Actual getting a 3k there. It wasn't an actual boot kill, it was just the ability that would boot people off the map. But still, nonetheless, a very impressive play. UT Arlington, they forced every ultimate they had, weren't able to find the combos they needed, and this is last fight territory. Ultra Polito gonna be swapping onto that Tracer just to trigger overtime, but gonna be taking a lot of damage from that Deadeye.
A lot of damage from the Deadeye, and ZP gonna kind of clean things up there at the very end. But RIT with a very firm grasp on the point. Shatter gonna be missing its targets, but Blue Jay and Link still finding the kills that they need. Actual on this Lucio actually going crazy. And although I'm in the camp of UT Arlington, RIT coming out strong on this first map.
Indeed, they had a very good game plan, which is basically we're just going to run into our enemy or we're going to run to the objective, whatever comes first. First map, they try to run down UT Arlington, and they had a little bit less success there because of the way well it was designed. At some points, UT Arlington were just able to avoid and evade, but on this map, there is nowhere to hide. You have to be fighting on points at all times, and there was that triple boot kill, which was an actual boot, but still a great play nonetheless.
Counts.
So I think UT Arlington really have to swap up their compositions. Either go for a mirror or go for a true skydive, as I'm gonna call it. I'm not sure if that's the actual name of it or if there is a name for it, but
It is
if there isn't now, now we coined it here. So there are some things we're gonna have to think about because Wrecking Ball still is pretty strong even with the latest nerfs, but it's really about what you play around Wrecking Ball, and there I just don't think the pieces were there to complete the puzzle.
I agree. A lot of parts of the composition looked okay. None of the whole picture really looked great. I'd like to see them kind of go back to the workshop, like you said. Maybe change the Zarya, or maybe change up the Hammond. That Zarya can still be very effective if they have the Reinhardt.
Yeah,
similar to how we saw RIT run it. So
exactly.
With Blizzard World coming up, Hammond's still on the table, but expect to see a couple more long distance hit scans. Maybe that skydive composition.
Can work. Again, I think the Mercy is really important. I think the Mercy specifically needs to be there for the Pharah because Echo, she might not stay in the air as long, but she's so much faster, so she can kind of like weave in and out, and she can be more reliant on a secondary healer or just health packs of Pharah. There's a reason they call it Pharmacy. The reason why that pair is so known in the Overwatch universe is because they just go together. They're just perfect Valentines for each other. So we'll see if they switch that up, or the long range hit scan, or just long range here is an option. Hanzo is pretty strong right now, especially after that buff where he fires even faster with his ability. So that's an option. But I think it comes down to the tank. Tanks are going to be the most important part of this game, no matter what. Tanks have really been shifted to the most important characters in the meta for a while now. So I think that going for something that works better with the Zarya is a great idea. And like you said, RIT, they've been running the Rein Zarya to perfection. You saw the Graviton surges. I think it was like 2-1. And I don't think actually UT Arlington got a grab on that second point.
I did not see a Graviton from UT Arlington on Lighthouse, no. So coming into Blizzard World for UT Arlington, this is all about how do we fix our tank game, and how do we shut down what is effectively becoming a snowball of the Rochester Institute of Technology, where they have that brawly composition that was pretty much able to just press W and Q the entire match.
Yeah, it looks like they want to stick to something very similar here. They are going to run the brawl. I think the Blue Jay running out and falling off the map was just a bait, just a little bit of fun. Got plenty of time. There it is. There's the Zarya. The one thing they're swapping up here, well, two things is one, they're going to be moving off of the Reaper to a Hanzo, so a little bit more long range damage, and then they have the Baptiste, so not as brawly, but a lot more sustainable with the Immortality field, and obviously Amplification Matrix, a great ultimate, and UT Arlington will be running a little bit different. I'm a bigger fan of this comp, but I still don't think it's perfect. The D.Va is better than the Zarya. They'll be able to, you know, speed around together. And with the Tracer now, I really like it. So we'll see if this is the answer. My biggest question mark is Dez on the Ana. Will he be able to find the sightlines needed to heal the team?
A lot of those tanks, well, sorry, the entirety of the team, except for Super Juice, extremely mobile. And like you said, line of sight being so imperative for Dez. See how this works out. Lort trying to get behind. Just at the very beginning so that they're positioned. You see Ultra Polito as well going on to the flank. As Arlington tries to pick up their first target. Just gonna have to be a little bit coy with their poke. They don't really have any tanks that can sit there and soak up a whole lot of damage. See Choco Man getting the flashbang off onto Lortler, and the burst damage was there. UT Arlington's composition, I just don't think is gonna cut it.
Yeah,
I feel like they need a little bit more presence.
Because the Zen can work. The Zen on the high ground is not being contested at all. The problem is that everyone around the Zen is falling, and the Ana is going to be possibly the most vulnerable unless she hits a great sleep dart. So even though there is long range damage for RIT, it seems like they're not focusing on the Zen on the high ground. They're just looking for that Wrecking Ball, and once Wrecking Ball is taken care of, whether it is through a flashbang and the follow-up or just a lot of damage getting done onto them, then there is nothing that can really be done, and you lose Doot early on. You're not even losing full fights, you're just losing members here and there and having to go for a decommit.
Yeah, you see Ultra Polito trying to help out Lortler on the high ground after that pile drive, but with ZP up onto this high ground, not only being a guardian of the team, but also a savage as he comes out with that double kill, it's very difficult for that Hammond Tracer duo to get anything done.
Yeah, and then you see Link FD gonna take a nap, but it's okay because the rest of the team is getting kills, and you're seeing Dez again getting a bit caught out on the tunnel. They swap Ultra Polito to the Widowmaker, so now they have someone that can dual Essel or Chocoman, depending on who they want to try to take out first. The rest of the team still pretty quick, I guess. Now they're swapping things up. So this is now, it's not an exact mirror tank-wise. Oh, there it is. Okay, so they're just gonna not even let me finish. They're just gonna keep swapping up. Now, I like this. You don't have the speed of a Lucio to get you into fights, and there's a lot of ultimates coming up for RIT, but you do have the Transcendence, and there isn't any anti to cancel that out.
Live through the fight.
Absolutely, with that Ana.
Well, may have spoken a bit too soon as ZP decides to put the window of opportunity on Rochester's side of things in the kill feed. Very, very apparent, very, very much so mirroring that fact. Just one ult out of Rochester Institute of Technology to stop UT Arlington in their tracks. And
now RIT still has 5 ultimates at their disposal. The good news for UTA is that they will have the Transcendence to counter the Grab Dragons as long as there isn't any follow-up damage. I might have to commit their nade as well to try to get some extra healing. But beyond that, it's going to be very hard to also deal with the Earth Shatter and the High Noon. So RIT, they're putting themselves in a great position. They're going to send the Dragons in without the grab. Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Grab goes into the wall just a little bit late. Still going to get the job done. Shatter to follow with the Deadeye. That's going to put the lid on the coffin. Link able to find 2. S will find 1 to follow. And Rochester going to be able to get a full hold here on Blizzard World as long as they can continue this trend. 36 seconds left for UT Arlington to put something onto the board.
They did, however, overcommit there. They used every ultimate they had. The biggest thing is that they got a Dez's Nano out, which I think they could have saved for this fight. I think that might have been a panic ultimate as well. Use it a little bit too soon when they didn't need it because that fight was basically over once they used the High Noon as well. So no ultimates on either side due to the closest solid ultimate for anyone. So if they can stay alive and get that High Noon up, that might be an opening. And that's a huge opening taking out Essel.
That's a big pick, and that's what Lortler's been trying to do this entire game. You can see him just loyally playing around this corner, waiting for the time to go through with damage. Deadeye comes out just in time! The window of opportunity closes! Rochester Institute of Technology is gonna lose the point here in the final seconds as UT Arlington puts together the perfect push.
Yeah, that was touch and go there for a second. The Amplification Matrix, it was just a little bit too late. It was right into the High Noon, and Luckily there for Dutu, they were not mowed down in the middle of casting it, so they are able to get that first point, but they got a long way to go on this map.
A long way to go, and Rochester is angry at the fact that they're allowing them to get any further than that first point. Look at the aggression coming out from their team, not even allowing them to push this payload past the initial choke point.
And the really only difference right now in compositions is the Baptiste versus the Ana. We saw the Immortality Field being used already, so that's something they won't have online for a little bit. But as you're seeing, Choco Man going to take out Ultra Polito, so UTA, they're just going to have to wait. Now they're going to lose Dutu, so this is really bad. They're getting spawn camped a little bit. The biggest thing is if you can force the Immortality Lamp out early with an anti-nade or something like that, that gives you a great up in the fight. But now that they've been taking so long, it's going to be online again for RIT.
And speaking about using things early, what RIT is really doing here is forcing UTA to use ultimates and utility just to get out of their spawn room. And Ultra Polito is ultra mad. Beautiful play by UT Arlington to put the Grab Dragon together.
Yep,
Ooh, what a shot!
It was actually dueling Grab Dragons, I believe. Both teams committed it, but it was UT Arlington that came up a little bit more on top despite not having the Baptiste. DP Lane commits the Immortality Field. It gets destroyed by Ultra Polito after they throw the ult, and now UT Arlington, they're gonna get some movement on this second point, but RIT still has 4 ultimates in their bank. UT Arlington, they have nothing besides a sound barrier.
They've also got their hope, their dreams, and that kill right there. ZP gonna be taken down first for RIT. Is Arlington going to be putting themselves into the 5v5? Essel looks to even things out, but these Hanzos right now, 1 for 1. Ultra Polito looking to try and even up this duel and take out his counterpart, but not able to land the shots. Choco Man is able to get something into the back line and put UT Arlington onto their heels.
Yeah, the fury of Hanzo's Hansbo not going to be able to find anything for Ultra Polito right now, but they're going to be able to get back into this wave and Earth Shatter as well as a sound barrier, so ultimates are actually a little bit more even right now. It really comes down to the DPS on either side if they can get those ultimates up quick.
Dude with the Deadeye. Choco Man with one as well. Very reliant on the Reinhardts here. Dude gonna go ahead and commit that Deadeye, but gets taken down by Essel. Ultra Polito is going to abuse that and take Essel out of the fight as well. A block shatter is going to put our UT Arlington on top as Choco Man with the sound barrier on his back has the Deadeye but finds nothing. Shatter blocked again. Neither Reinhardt able to make it land, but Choco Man rolling forward with the Peacekeeper is going to be able to find 2 kills with the help of Blue Jay. That's going to put UT Arlington in a very tricky position, forcing out the Nano Boost onto Super Juice on this Lucio. The Boostio has to get it done, but a Graviton from Blue Jay is going to keep him off the point just long enough.
Essel using the downtown Dragon Strike, but it actually finds Dutu on the Doomfist, so great eye, great coordination there to use that ultimate at the last second. Another thing is that this time around, Duke was taken out in the middle of casting that Deadeye, so a bit of miscommunication there on UT Arlington to not protect their Gunslinger there. That could have been a big ultimate. Unfortunately, weren't able to get anything with it. They could have broken the shield. As you saw, the shadow that came out from Lortler was blocked by Link FT, so there were opportunities for UTA to continue that push, but they are not going to come to fruition now. RIT, they know their win condition. They know all they got to do is get halfway through that second point to win this map and go to match point, so it's all on the line for them. They want to win this series, and they want to win it dominantly.
I'm happy to see UT Arlington coming out with the composition that we're seeing off the bat. This would have been the moment where if they came out with another funky composition that it would become a trend of it looks like they're just trying to see what they can get away with. But I'm happy to see them come out with the Ryan Zarya, with that Hanzo McCree composition that they were able to do pretty well with last time around. Rochester really had to commit every ult to each fight that they won once UT Arlington switched over to this composition.
And it's the Ana versus the Baptiste once again, and it looks like for the most part, Rochester is getting the better end of that deal. ZP Link with the Amplification Matrices as well as the Immortality Fields was on point for a lot of that last round. We'll have to see if Dez can step it up with those anti-nades and get better nanos.
With UT Arlington now posturing on the point there. Looks like Rochester's just trying to decide at which avenue they want to go. Looks like the left side of the point seems a little bit more enticing. Immortality Field out early from ZP, and UT Arlington's going to see blood in the water, take Linked out, and press W. Pushing Rochester all the way back to spawn, and oh! The Fire Strike from Lortler will find one more victim.
Yep, great play by them. After the shield was broken, you saw Lurtler go behind the statue, wait for that bubble to come out. A great catch from the Fire Strike, and a very clean fight early on. You saw the anti-nade. It caught out Linked FD, so that forced ZP Link to use the Immortality Field. They broke it. They got that Reinhardt down, and that's what they need to keep doing. Get Immortality Field out early, and then burn down targets that are anti-ed. If they can keep doing that, and Des keep farming nanos, and just use them early on. Don't hold on to it. Use it now if you must. That can win them this. There it is.
Yeah, Nano goes out immediately onto Lortler, so that's going to allow him to throw the rest of Rochester into the blender, if you will. Amplification Matrix does come out and barely saving themselves. Lortler on a dangerous charge is able to find a little bit of solace. Gets hit with the sound barrier at just the right time, only 9 health left before that hit. And UT Arlington able to save the shatter, has to commit the sound barrier, but we'll still have ultimates to put Rochester at bay for this next attack. But Rochester looking very, very good.
Yeah, they went too far that time. Committing the sound barrier is no bueno for them. They lost Dude as well. They're committing the dragons, and the dragon strike can come out on the other side, but there's no beat.
The grab dragon immediately hits UT Arlington as they try to commit the dragon of their own. Rochester will be able to take the point.
They got too greedy there. They got too greedy there, Steidl. They didn't have to chase after they got that initial pick. You can back up, you can reset, and now there's 4 minutes in the time bank for RIT. They still had the Deadeye as well as the Shatter, so this fight goes their way. This could be the map right here. UTA, they're going to have to lick their wounds a little bit. They have a Graviton Surge of their own. They've got a Nerf Shatter and a Deadeye, but once they win the fight, they have to back out. They can't keep chasing.
Gotta make sure that they are being reserved with how they're using their value and their utility. You see now, the Graviton onto the high ground. Follow-up damage, however, not there at all. Nano Boost going to be committed as well from UC Arlington as they're half-heartedly committing to this front gate defense. Payload already moving past where they can hold it. Shatter comes through from Lortler to keep things alive. Ultra Polito was able to bring up those dragons, and they will finally be able to find themselves the kills, but not before committing a lot and losing a bit.
It looks like one member from UT Arlington DC'd, so I'm wondering if we're going to get a pause here. But there it is, and whoa, that fight honestly could have gone so much worse for UT Arlington. You saw Essel come out with the dragon at the last second. It got 2, but luckily for UTA, they were able to win out just a few seconds before that. So they're going to be able to build some space, but they also gave up a lot of movement on the cart. They could have stopped at the gate. Instead, they tried playing the high ground. You saw that RIT, they ran up to the high ground, but they still left one on the cart. So it got movement outside of the gate, and you always want to hold at those choke points where there is only one main way to get in and out. Now there are so many other ways that RIT can approach this attack.
Yeah, they can go through to the Mega Health Pack room, over to the left of the high ground to get around to the back end. And you know, not a great story to tell, but hopefully UT Arlington, when they get their player back, are going to be able to right that wrong. I want to talk about that Graviton for a second. You know, we saw it looked like the call out was there. It was very aggressive Graviton from the Zarya to kind of leap in front of the team and try and grab RIT onto the high ground, but it didn't seem like the rest of the team was really in a position to follow up on that damage.
Yeah, and the Immortality Field also, because of kind of where the grav was, you could just throw it on the high ground and no one was able to break it because it was so far above everyone else's sightline. So there was just not enough follow-up there. You also saw that at one point there was a sleep onto Link FD on the Reinhardt for RIT, and the Dragon was perfectly positioned to go right over them, but they were woken up right before it was cast, so Link FD able to get out. So you just see these miscues that are coming out from UTA, which is very unlike them. I mean, we saw them struggle a bit before at the end of the fall split, as we talked about at the beginning of the cast, but what's happening now seems very unlike them, and I think a lot of that is because of those roster changes that happened before the spring split.
All right, however, Rochester Institute of Technology doing a pretty good job of being calm, cool, and collected through a lot of these fights. You know, it seems to be two different sides of the coin today. With how well they've been able to put together their ultimates, the pushing over to the right side of the point while grab dragging the left side of the point while the retreat of UT Arlington happened was a really fantastic way to take the point.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. They know their win condition, which I think is the most important thing in Overwatch, because you don't always have to secure kills to win. If you can get that C9 where you back cap the point, no one's looking, who cares about your win def ratio? All about the objective, and so far it looks like RIT, they're splitting points across. So they're playing their ultimates on one side while the other rest of the team is kind of breaking down everyone else who hasn't caught it. And that's a great way to approach it. And most importantly, they are backing out of lost fights when they know that they can't win. They know that there's no point in giving more ult charge. They back out. I think the biggest problem for UTA on their defense, especially in that first point, was they got a little bit too ahead of themselves. They went too far forward. It was okay for them the first time because that bubble was there at the right time to protect their Reinhardt. But then the rest of the team kind of, when they were marching forward with the Nano and Ryan the second time around, the rest of the team was behind them, totally vulnerable. And from there, it was just going to be very hard for them to get back into it once they committed that sound barrier. We're going to be taking a short break before we get back into this. Don't be going anywhere. We'll be back with RIT versus UTA in just a little bit.
I remember just constant, absolute terror, and I can't explain how intense, how strong, how all-encompassing that terror is. Unless you do this, you're gonna get killed. You're gonna die.
Well, guys, due to unforeseen circumstances, it does look like UT Arlington is going to have to soldier on with just 5 members on this defense. Luckily for them, the payload not too far to move before the map concludes.
Yeah, I see the charge, and they're just playing for desperation. They got to do anything they can, and already they're going to lose their main tank. A great application matrix, and a shatter to boot. RIT, looks like they're going to be wrapping this one up with a bow.
Yep, they're going to be able to take Blizzard World pretty easily here. And with that, take our second map.
Yeah, it's just really unfortunate the timing of the DC. It happened kind of in between fights. It looked like RIT, they wanted to back out and go for a full regroup, but knowing that it's going to be a 5v6 situation and that they have spawn advantage, why not just go in? Still got plenty of time. There they take advantage of it and are able to finish the map out pretty cleanly, and this was a great play. I mean, knowing that the sound barrier was used previously in the last fight, they can just go in for that grab dragons. No worry in the world. You saw there were still players on the right side. They were finishing up the rest of the kills, and that's what we talked about during that, before we went to the break, that they played the objective split, but they did it so efficiently as a team.
Yeah, they were able to do really well at how they wanted to position, and one of the things that I like to talk about a lot when I'm casting Overwatch is setting up your fights and taking fights on your own conditions, and that's one thing that we have been watching the Rochester Institute of Technology do time and time again. We talked very briefly about it, but I kind of wanted to delve a little bit more deeper into how the play went. But on their attack onto point A, they were able to put a lot of aggression towards the right side of the point, the side towards the hot dog stand, and at the exact same time sit their Zarya alone to the other side to throw out that Graviton, grab the retreating UT Arlington team, and then commit those dragons to get the easy 6 or 5 or 6K that they got there. I mean, it seems like a small thing, but that's not an easy play to put together.
And they zone out the tanks and the grab, so they know that the squishier heroes, the DPS and the supports, are stuck on the right side alone. So you commit your own sound barrier, which might be still a little bit overkill in that fight, but you use it so your own squishy characters that are going after them have that extra little bit of health, that shield, that will, protect them if they get flashbang or something like that. So you go all in. You know that your fight win condition is really taking out the tanks, so you do that with the grab dragons, and that sound barrier is offline, so there's nothing that can save them at all. And from there, you just roll onto the point, take the rest of the fight, win it out, and then you take the point very cleanly. So it is an amazing play. It's a very good understanding of Overwatch as a game and just how to play that composition as a team. So RIT are on a roll. They win that 1-2-1. They won the first map 2-0, but we got at least one more map in this series title, and hopefully we'll see that map selection screen in just a second so we can tell you what it is. I know what it is already. It's Volskaya Industries, but I still love to see the graphic for it.
Yeah, so hopefully Volskaya going to be our next map, but it looks like we are going to be going to a quick break as we figure out that 6th person slot for UT Arlington. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We've got some good news for you and some bad news for you. As you can see by our by our score tag below here, UT Arlington does have to forfeit the rest of the match due to the fact that they don't have that 6th player. So Rochester Institute Technology, congratulations. You're walking away with a 3-0 for your first game of the split. And now you are one of 2, I believe, undefeated teams remaining in the EGFC. But although that's everything for those 2 teams, that's not it for me and Jag. Jag, I believe you're showing up here in a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Me and FBI Tugboat will be holding it down here on the official EGF stream at around 7:30. We got a game for you then, so be sure to check back in later. But I know Shuttle's moving over to the second channel of a different caster and some great games slated there.
That I am. Me and Dryad are going to be going over to cast Farfield versus CU Boulder. So if you want to... Well, I just lost all of my words right there. If you want to catch that awesome game, make sure that you're staying tuned. But for now, I believe we have to go to a break to fix some technical stuff on the back end. So I hope you guys are keeping up with it. Make sure you've already followed the channel and EGF on Twitter if you haven't done so yet. But stay tuned. We've got more Overwatch coming. Welcome back, Overwatch fans, to some more fun play here at the EGFC. I am Shadow24, and I'll be joined for this game with my wonderful friend Dryad as we see Fairfield and University of Colorado face off against each other. How's your day going, Dryad?
Going great. I'm so excited to see those matches today, and we were talking a little bit about the teams as well. The score that they get today is going to be very important for each one of them. For Fairfield, they want to have a 4 positive rate compared to all the other teams and to be the same as University of Colorado, while the University of Colorado wants to keep that positive win rate. So it's very tough for both of them. They just came from sort of a long break, but there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of meta changes as well. So I'm just very excited to see what they're going to bring.
Yeah, and University of Colorado are coming off of a little bit of momentum from the fall split, where they were actually one of the only teams to take 2 maps off of the undefeated UT Arlington. But with UT Arlington losing that main tank, and we saw in their matchup earlier not really presenting the same fortified front as we saw in the first split, maybe it's the chance the University of Colorado is looking for as they're trying to get that positive win-loss ratio. But let's take a look at our map pool for today's matchup. If you were here with our previous matchup, it is going to be the same map pool. We're going to be starting things off on Ilios. And Ilios, a map that we have not seen in competitive play in quite some time in a lot of the main circuits.
Yeah, and it's especially a very interesting map because of the different compositions that you can play in each one of the sub maps. You can definitely try to bring a sniper, a Widowmaker, when you're playing Ruins, but also, of course, a classic Lucio Roadhog that you can play. You can try to get some boops as well. So there's a lot of possibilities, and the one thing that really characterizes EGF is that teams really like bringing to the strengths. If they're really good at dive, they're going to force dive throughout any composition that the other team is going to bring. They also like forcing a lot of Brian Saria, so I think that's definitely one of the possibilities, but Ilios is a really good way to start it out.
Especially with how fluid the meta of Overwatch is right now, where you really can run whatever your team is most comfortable on. If you're looking for that double bubble, that Zarya Winston poke kind of pseudo dive, then you can run that. If you want to run Hammond Diva, Hammond Zarya, it can work. If you want to put together that Ryan Zarya, be a little bit more stagnant, be that brawly kind of composition, everything is on the table right now, which I think is an absolutely fantastic place for the Overwatch meta to be. It really does allow teams to kind of play around.
Yeah, it's definitely a great thing because from what we've seen recently on the meta that maybe those pro players are trying to bring, it's more of that Wrecking Ball, more of that Sigma. And even though it's very interesting, it's still fun to see those classic compositions being brought to the table. It's still the Saria, that Reinhardt as well, and playing more of the brawl style that is always so interesting. But we definitely have to see what the team have to bring, to giving us a hint that the University of Colorado, that's exactly what they want to bring. Gonna be the Saria and Winston, so the double bubble. And for Fairfield University, more of the Sigma Roadhawks, a little more of a hybrid composition for both teams.
Interesting to see the Sigma come out to play. Not a hero that in this, probably one of the few heroes in this meta actually, that it really just has a struggle to find a place. But if you make it work, it can work. Both teams being quite coy right now around the initial interaction. Daddy D getting dropped into the well, but luckily has the translocator at the ready. Funkmaster finding a double kill there into the backline with that tickle cannon. Able to find themselves a beautiful plethora of opening kills. Fairfield University able to find the point first. Sorry, University of Colorado finding the point first.
Yeah, everyone was just so low that the Wizard just has to jump into them, and that's going to be enough for them to guarantee to control the point in the meantime. Also, very interesting to see the Sombra being brought to the table, getting that EMP as soon as possible is going to be also winning condition for the next fighter, at least in 2 fights. But in the meantime, more of the poke fizz that has to happen, the Tracer in the backline being a little bit distracting for Fairfield University is exactly what Colorado needs.
Yeah, and at 88% Cloud. Oh no, 99%. Dare I speak too soon. Already has that pulse bomb online now for University of Colorado as Fairfield tunnels themselves into a very tight corridor, a self-destruct. Into the backline is the Funkmaster on the Primal Raging Winston, looks to knock them around as much as possible. Able to get walked out in the backline as University of Colorado cleans up the rest.
Yeah, very good cleanup, and just as expected, now the EMP is going to be ready. The Nano as well, they want to give it to even the Winston, even though the primary reach was just used, but a lot of mobility, and the positioning as well the University of Colorado is having is what's benefiting them from winning this fight over and over again. When it's passing that 70%, that's when it gets a little bit more risky for Fairfield. They have to for proper engagement, but no ultimate just yet besides...
Oh no!
The kill!
No ultimates indeed. They're going to use that sound barrier from Mask. They get that initial boop onto the Zarya. So with University of Colorado down one member and the rest just kind of in it to win it, die quickly. They are going to be giving up this point. Fairfield will be able to take the point. But, you know, they only have a couple of ultimates online. University of Colorado, no ultimates online, are going to have to take their time and poke their way back onto the point.
Yeah, the ultimate economy definitely benefiting a little more of Fairfield University. They're going to have the visor if they want to at least push everyone from University of Colorado away for a few extra seconds, trying to pass that 50%, but it's not going to be easy so far.
Oh, but Bird Boys gonna be answering back big with another boop. Wrench gonna be taking the dive there. Pulse Bomb goes out. Walk able to roll out of the way, but Mask not as lucky. As both University and Fairfield trade kills here. Fairfield are gonna be coming out on top with the Tracer to the back line. WLK might be in a bit of trouble using his fellow soldier to get a little bit of healing, but it's not going to be enough. Cloud coming out of the sky and into the back line. Finds two and puts University of Colorado back into good position.
Yeah, Cloud actually gets 4 on that fight and might guarantee the win for University of Colorado here. Is going to pass the 90%. This is going to be the last opportunity. Fairfield does have a few ultimates they have to initiate with the Valkyrie.
Valkyrie from Gil. Great aspects as well. Going to be using that tac visor as WLK. Looking to find themselves in a position that's going to be favorable, but the spawn room is not where you want to be. Now with just the Reinhardt and the Valking Mercy, the members of Fairfield University dwindling as University of Colorado puts the first map of Vilios in the bag.
Just at 99%, and no one else is able to touch from the side of Fairfield. This is really good control from University of Colorado. I was a little bit concerned every time I see the Sombra. There's a lot of risk when you play this hero. There's opportunities to get EMPs over and over again, but also not having the easiest time getting a lot of value. But University of Colorado did a great job. It seems like it is still a possibility for them to bring in. That's exactly what we were talking about everyone playing to their strengths if they feel comfortable with this composition, depending on that EMP, and also playing a little bit more aggressive with the tank line with the Winston. And that's exactly what University of Colorado has to keep doing. For Fairfield, it seems like a few changes. They had the right idea, but we never saw proper initiation from them.
We didn't, and WLK going to be switching off of the McCree and onto the Widowmaker here as great aspect goes to the Junkrat. So two sides of one coin where the Widowmaker going to have a little bit of trouble going up against that Winston shield, but great aspects on that Junkrat will be able to get rid of it fairly quickly. So a lot of pressure right now on WLK to find the headshots and get the picks.
Yeah, they're playing is very, very slowly, but getting those picks is not going to be as easy with the position there. It's having Cloud, though.
Yeah, Cloud into the back line, able to find 2 very easy kills. Not getting contested too heavily either. Able to back out, find themselves a little bit of healing. And that'll be all she wrote. University of Colorado will be able to take that point once again. And I'm not too keen on the Widowmaker pick. I'd like to see something... maybe that can contest with what Cloud's bringing to the table. Cloud alone has been able to get multiple kills.
Yeah, it's just not going to be easy to get any value to the Widowmaker, but the composition the University of Colorado is playing, everyone is so mobile. Maybe you can get the Ana, but that's still not going to be enough. So definitely a change that has to happen soon.
Bunkmaster now backing out of the fight for a quick second, using that Tesla cannon from the high ground to tickle things down. And Cloud once again shining bright, not just a silver lining, but might be a diamond lining here. Able to find 4-2 with the pulse bomb.
This has been one of the main fears for University of Colorado. Cloud playing more aggressive. Well, Funkmaster using the primary rage for just a few seconds. Definitely not getting a lot of value out of it, but at least, you know, they are confident. They're going to pass the 50% in Fairfield University, making a few changes. More of a poke damage is going to come through for them.
And with Weird Magic at 70% to that Graviton, and Cloud already working back up to another pulse bomb. Big purple! Big anti-grenade comes through as the nano boost on to Funkmaster gets delivered. Now the Winston able to press W as he pleases, trying to whittle down the Reinhardt, forcing out the coalescence from Masks. Cloud does get taken down before the Pulse Bomb can come to fruition, as Funkmaster moving on to the point, trying to take Fairfield off for as long as possible, as University of Colorado still beginning to stabilize with 2 kills from Bird Boys and Weird Magic, and a third now there for the Lucio. And that's going to keep it in their contention. University of Colorado at 85% and ults to boot are going to have control at this point.
Fairfield is not going to have a good time coming. They're going to walk into a grab, into a pulse zone 2 and EMP. Seems like there's nothing they can do anymore.
Yeah, their options definitely limited at this point. Daddy D has the EMP at the ready, but it's really not even needed. Just the Pulse Bomb and the Graviton are going to do what they need to be done. EMP comes through just as a good measure, safety measure, if you will. And oh, sad day for the Sombra on the edge as they get batted away by the Primal Rage. University of Colorado taking this first point in a commanding strides.
Yeah, they did a really good job with the composition that they were playing. They were always the first to engage, and that was what was giving them the benefit. Fairfield, we never saw any surprises, even when they decided to change that composition, when they decided to play that Junkrat, the Reaper. It was a little bit too late to make that swap, and they couldn't even get those ultimates that they needed so bad.
Yeah, and you know, we saw there be a pretty good impact with the Junkrat. You know, the Winston bubble really did not have a long-lasting life. The Zarya bubbles were short-lived as well, so you still give that charge away, but the protective aspect of that is no longer there. But the Widowmaker really never had much of an impact on that second map.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that you need to change as soon as possible with your team when you see that you're playing a Widowmaker against the Tracer, against the Lucio, against all those mobile heroes that are going to be able to protect themselves. Then that's when you have to make the call as soon as possible to make a change to go Tracer as well, Echo. I mean, there's so many possibilities to bring here. And I think if they make those changes early on, it could have worked for Fairfield, but unfortunately just way too late. At least, you know, it was a control map, so they have another opportunity. Maybe there's another map that benefits them a little bit more.
Yeah, some teams, you know, there goes my word. Certain map types sometimes just don't benefit certain teams. So as we move on to our second map, which will be Blizzard World, we'll see what kind of compositions are going to be brought to the table. I don't suspect that we really see too much of a variation from what CU brought to the table. That double bubble composition with a very mobile DPS line and support line, I wouldn't be surprised to see carry on to Blizzard World. Yeah. However, Fairfield, I'd like to see them switch it up and bring something different to the table.
Yeah, and they definitely should bring something. If it's going to be that Reaper and Junkrat composition, then they have to bring it from the beginning. If not, then they have to make sure that the engagements that they're going to make are going to be a little bit more effective if they want to play D.Va than having those dives and have the synergy with the team that's so important in Blizzard World as well if you want to take control of the point at the beginning, which might be a little bit difficult with the way that we can see University of Colorado playing.
Yeah, the aggression right now from CU has been absolutely phenomenal, and time again, you'll hear me say it if you ever see me casting Overwatch, aggression is the name of the game. Yeah. If you can force somebody else to use utility, use parts of their kit just to get out of spawn or just to get out of a choke point, it can be absolutely crucial because now they don't have that utility when they're in the fight.
And that was exactly that aggression that we saw from University of Colorado was benefiting them so much because it was about one more fight that they had and they decided to just play aggressive, not even commit the ultimates that they had. And they had every single ultimate that we saw right at the end. So it was simply that aggression and that synergy that they had to push forward to make sure that they were able to get the kills what benefited them at the end.
Well, no longer do we have to speculate. We are heading in game right now, ladies and gentlemen, to Blizzard World. You will be seeing University of Colorado take the attacking mantle first, of course, Fairfield. Although red is their color, they're going blue for the first portion of this map as they are on the defense. And defending here on Blizzard World, if you're able to keep this first point in your favor, which is not unheard of, it can really up your chances when it comes time to attack.
Yeah, and it's all going to fall on what composition they want to run, and also making sure that the rotations are going to be as united with the team as possible. That's going to really define if they're able to stay alive for a little bit longer or not. University of Colorado, when they start on the attack, we already saw them playing aggressive, then this is definitely something that we can expect again. And we do have to wait a few extra seconds, but they might be going for the double sniper, even the hand. So I think it's a really good pick, especially for breaking the shields and pushing forward. In the meantime, Failfair University decides to hold his high ground, and once again, very important to see that rotation coming through.
Great aspects on the Symmetra, an interesting choice going up against Funkmaster on the Winston. Pops right through and gives no care to the turrets and immediately taken down. Funkmaster hit with a surprising amount of burst damage from Fairfield University. And with that, University of Colorado realizes it may not be a walk in the park.
Yeah, and taking control of the high ground is so good. Now, one really good pick, actually, Baptiste does get taken down, but the Mercy's there in case they're able to get a res at some point, and they're just poking damage, being able to break that shield before they're able to push in.
Yeah, as long as they can whittle down Adric's shield, they will have the upper hand, but right now, Fairfield University doing a good job of using the Zarya bubble and the Symmetra teleporter to mitigate the damage onto that Reinhardt. Now, as University of Colorado moves on to the high ground, they're going to be a little bit coy. Able to get their Lucio up, they're trying to destroy this teleporter so that there's no return path for Fairfield, and now they sound the attack horn. Funkmaster once again diving in, but the support just was not there. The damage for Fairfield, however, was. Daddy D finding a double for University of Colorado, puts it down to a 3v4 on the point. University of Colorado still with the upper hand, and Daddy D getting it done. Able to put it through for University of Colorado.
Yeah, getting a few picks, and that's going to be enough. Fairfield University, it seems like they were able to hold it for a little bit longer, but the positioning of Hansel and going to those up angles has really benefited University of Colorado now to push forward and to play a little bit more aggressive. They do have a few ultimates coming through, though. Fairfield does have the tank ultimate. It's going to have that shatter, but being able to push forward is going to be what they have to wait a few extra seconds, and we know that holding high ground on this point is what's really going to let them move the payload even more.
It's all up to the University of Colorado to get another big pick onto Fairfield University if they want to get past this initial bridge. Daddy D has the Dragons online, and with Weird Magic at 87% to a Graviton, likely going to be seeing that combination soon. Colorado doing a good job of vacating the sight lines of the amplification matrix from masks and completely negating the ultimate. Bit of a Primal Rage there coming out from Funkmaster to keep things alive for Weird Magic to get this Graviton online as Colorado once again becomes aggressive. 99% the Graviton there, but the Shatter comes through from Adric. And with that, they're able to take Weird Magic out of the fight for just long enough for 2 Gravitons to come through, but there's only 1 Dragon. WRK not able to commit his Dragons as he's caught in that Graviton. So University of Colorado's payload will continue to move.
This Hans was on fire getting those kills. Now with the Dragons as well, they will be able to get the second checkpoint. And with that pushing forward, having that momentum to 30, they did use quite a lot of ultimates, but they do have 5 minutes at the end of the day to get the next ones. And also not the best spawn to get if you're Fairfield University.
Yeah, you know, most times you get 1 or 2 people that get that bad spawn right in front of the enemy team. It's not often that your entire squad gets put into that position, and right now University of Colorado, there's blood in the water, and they are hungry as they're continuing to take down these respawns. And now for Fairfield, you need to stop, stay in your spawn, let your team regroup, or else University of Colorado is just gonna continue to pick you off.
They are playing so aggressive. They're not letting them have any sort of space. And now finally they're able to push back, wait for the payload a little bit. But the hardest corner to pass, they already did. And a few ultimates as well. The primary rage is going to be ready. The high noon as well. Having that positioning is exactly what University of Colorado needs. That might be enough.
A lot of pressure on Gil on this Transcendence, but the Transcendence can't do much against the Deadeye. Both members, one from the front, one from the back line, down for Fairfield University, and now the road's been paved. University of Colorado able to move themselves into not only an advantageous, but a victorious position with 3 minutes and 50 seconds on the clock. Their payload will find its way home. A couple of members of Fairfield University left to mitigate around, while the Transcendence getting bottled up at the gates by Funkmaster on the Primal Raging Winston.
That was a really good round for Blizzard. We're 3 minutes, 36 seconds remaining for University of Colorado in case we go into a third round. But so far from what we saw, it doesn't even seem likely. They are playing so aggressive. You can definitely see that momentum that they have going on, the synergy that they have, and the way that they push forward. But the entire team is not only a few of them. It's a Winston, you know, creating the space for the team, and then the DPS is doing all the job, getting the kills, the Hansel, the McCree. Even getting those kills with the high noon is not something easy, but University of Colorado are definitely making it seem like it's easy to do. Fairfield University, they never had a time to regroup.
Yeah, it really seemed like for Fairfield, after the initial fight here at the second point, it was just a game of catch up. It was a lot of, you know, we're a 5-man squad. Can we get the 6 men there? Oh, no. Now we've lost 2. Now we're a 3-man squad. Can we get the other 3 there? Oh, no. We lost 2. It just kept on happening. That snowball kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger for University of Colorado. So hopefully on the attack for Fairfield, they're able to keep themselves together. And I think as long as they can continue to do what they did at the beginning here on point A, where, you know, Funkmaster dove in and they dealt with him. They got the burst damage. They took care of that Winston, and University of Colorado could not advance. It's the same story for their defense and their attack.
Yeah, but Fairfield wants to attack with a little bit of a different composition compared to what we saw for University of Colorado. Is going to be dive. And having this dive work properly means they need really good communication to make it work. Already, though, that's first big win. Wait, no.
WLK able to find 2 on the high ground in a big fashion. We said that Fairfield had to find something on this attack to put it all together, and they have. The res comes through. However, University of Colorado using Daddy D and the Torbjorn that he counts, able to find the stabilization and the kills to boot. And Fairfield, such an amazing opportunity, dwindled away because they didn't see the turret.
That was definitely a little bit frustrating if you're WLK. Getting 2 picks at the beginning, having the opening for your team, but then getting taken down, especially by your Magic playing a little bit more aggressive. They still have another opportunity, but now this is something that University of Colorado is going to be expecting. They don't even have that Zenyatta anymore. It's going to be that Lucio and that Mercy as well, so more of that mobility, protecting themselves a little bit from those arrows.
Yeah, that Lucio also going to help Zarya, Ashe, and Torbjorn stay with the Winston speed-wise as they battle on top of the high ground in the Eagle coaster. And Adra doing a good job of staying in the fight regardless of what's going on outside. Now at 65% to the Primal Rage, trying to focus down the Lucio, but the bubble from Weird Magic keeping Parzival alive. Both Weird Magic and Funkmaster able to find a couple of kills, and Fairfield now put down to a 2v6. You just can't put, those odds are not going to go well for you. And University of Colorado doing a good job of mitigating the attack and keeping the defense on their heels.
This is one of the situations where great aspects is going to be the win condition, getting that EMP as soon as possible because time is running out. There's only half the time remaining, 2 minutes. And in the meantime, not having that EMP is going to delay that. Oh, there's a lot of ultimates coming for University of Colorado. They can initiate with Bob if they want. Also the Molten Core, and that's going to be enough to delay the push for another minute.
They've got area denial. They've got extra members to put onto the point. They've got WLK holding off here on the Dragons, but the Bob is now out. Molten Core as well from Daddy D, committed from University of Colorado as Wrench, able to find the first kill, taking the Torbjorn out of commission and putting Farfield University onto the board, but WLK losing the Dragons early on, and the Coalescence from Gil getting taken off the table as well. University of Colorado is going to be able to stabilize.
They did use 3 ultimates, but it seems like they are fine committing all of those abilities. They still have 3 more to use for the next round. They can initiate with a Graviton and then pushing forward for Fairfield. Still not EMP. They can now initiate with the Coalescence if they want to, but that's not going to be as effective as they want to completely deny all abilities from University of Colorado with that EMP. It has to happen in this fight. There's only 1 minute remaining. This means 1 fight, maybe 2, but they have to make it fast.
WLK being kept at bay by Cloud on this Ashe, who's already up to 60%. The Graviton now coming out from Weird Magic. University of Colorado getting hit with a Dragon in response from Fairfield University. They're going to take Cloud out and expend the res from University of Colorado as the 6v6 continues. Gil's finally able to find a point, and the EMP we've been waiting for lands, but the Shatter going to grab 4. The charge landing a kill as well, and Fairfield barely able to do so, but looks like they're going to be able to put themselves on the map and onto the scoreboard here. Data back onto the point on this Torbjorn, willing to give it up for just a moment, as Fairfield University will take the first point, but they will not have a lot of time on the clock for the second.
Yeah, they can get some control with the molten core there in the primary rage. The fight is not over for them just yet.
Not just yet, but Wrench and WLK are two impatient players. They're looking to end this as quickly as possible. Bob on point just as a placeholder, as Parzival continuing to keep the fight alive for University of Colorado, and Funkmaster and the rest of the team have now come through big. The door was open for Fairfield, but with Bob and Alucio, University of Colorado have closed it.
What a comeback from University of Colorado. Fairfield almost had the point. It was around 97%. It was so close for them to start moving the payload. But then the comeback, it was the Winston with the primary rage, pushing everyone away and them. Everyone else getting those kills. Really, really good use of those abilities from University of Colorado. Already taking the advantage, and it's once again that aggression that's benefiting them so much. Fairfield doesn't seem to adapt to it just yet.
I mean, I thought Fairfield for sure had a breath of new life there at the very end of the point, and that they were going to put University of Colorado up against the wall. But University of Colorado doing a great job of not only cycling out players onto the point so that the contest was able to continue for the respawns to get back into the picture, but combining the molten core with the primal rage. Now Fairfield can't stand on the point; they're getting pushed away. It was very masterfully done by University of Colorado. And going into this third point, if you're Fairfield, you really have to pull out everything you've got, because University of Colorado is beginning to pull away from you.
And now is the second time where they do this, where we can see University of Colorado actually dying with a few ultimates, which is very risky to do in that situation when running out of time. But then they're just able to come back and to use them. That's going to benefit them. So second time that they see it happen, this is something that maybe University of Fairfield can predict now for what could be the next map, and try to force those abilities early on, or at least make sure that they have their own abilities for next fight.
And it does look like we are going to be having a substitution as we move into our third map, which is going to be Volskaya. I'm excited to see what that is, but it looks like Colorado is going to be subbing out their off tank. So we're going to see Ruby coming in. And interesting to see this. We've seen some pretty strong Zarya play from University of Colorado, so bringing in Ruby now. Possibly going for a switch up in their composition. I'd love to see some Hammond play. I feel like at this point in the matchup, the University of Colorado, you've got some confidence behind you. Let's see the Hammond play. Let's see it. I want to see it.
Yeah, let's see if they're making this change after doing so well. They definitely want to try something else, and even if it's that Wrecking Ball, maybe a little bit of a different composition. Again, like you said, that momentum that they have is already there. Fairfield is already just struggling a lot because the fights haven't even been close. They haven't been able to win effectively. They won maybe the first fight, but then they lost immediately again. So technically, just Fairfield University is struggling a lot, and this is when University of Colorado can make those changes and see what happens.
And the big area that we've been seeing Fairfield really struggle with is retaking things. If Colorado is able to continue any sort of hold on a point, or if they take the point from Fairfield, we've seen a little bit of difficulty with Fairfield kind of coming back and putting their foot down and saying, no, this is our point. But this is their chance to do it. It's 2-0. University of Colorado only needs one more map to finish the day, and we're heading on into Volskaya, and we'll see if this will be it. The University of Colorado once again on attack, as they've been choosing to keep their pace.
And I actually really like when teams decide to start an attack. And it seems like it's a classic for Overwatch to start on the defense, and you have the confidence that if you are able to full hold the enemy team, then you can just get one tick and win. But when you have the confidence of just playing aggressive, just like University of Colorado is doing, then might as well go for the attack, play something else. And so far, Fairfield bringing out a very interesting composition. You are going to see a little bit of Bastion, it seems like.
You know, I'm completely okay with this. For many a year, the Bastion composition was seen as kind of a cheese, if you will. But I think the masterful combination of the Symmetra and the Bastion gives it a little bit a little bit more value. And up against this dive composition, I would be surprised to see it be ineffective.
Yeah, they have to play this very carefully if they're University of Colorado, making sure that the dive has to be effective. They have to disturb the teleport and then get the Bastion as soon as possible.
Oh, and Cloud trying to find themselves some wiggle room, but can't do so. However, with Cloud now on that different vantage point, the teleporter not as safe. Cloud finding Gil 240 out at the very beginning, and Farfield's already lost its resurrection, lost its second healer. WLK onto the other side of the high ground still with not really any real sight onto University of Colorado as they continue to use the terrain to their advantage as they whittle Fairfield down one by one. Cloud getting sights onto the Bastion and able to kind of divert his attention to help deal with the Symmetra turrets. But still, University of Colorado with presence on point and Cloud9 with shots on point as well. And University of Colorado able to take this first point with speed and determination. That Bastion not playing out as Fairfield wanted it to.
Yeah, the minute the Fairfield separated a little bit from the Bastion is the minute that it stopped working. It was the Bastion on one side, also dropped from the high ground, making it really hard to come back up, getting taken down immediately. University of Colorado might be having this momentum to go into second point. No ultimates just quite yet, but they are going to get them sooner than Fairfield University.
That they are, with Funkmaster at 70%, and environmentals are a danger here on the second point. Next to the stairwells by the attacking spawn, but a good dink from Cloud as another headshot lands. University of Colorado take WLK and the resurrection offline for Fairfield University. Masks as well dying before they can commit that amplification matrix. Ruby and Funkmaster are able to find themselves a couple of kills as University of Colorado continuing their momentum, rolling downhill indeed. They're able to take this first section of the point. I don't think the respawns right now from Fairfield University equipped to really do much, but the graviton of their spawn door, that's going to take 2. And the point at 4 minutes and 52 seconds, adding almost a minute to their time, is University of Colorado.
Playing very aggressive, and just as we expected, Fairfield, I did like that they decided to go with another composition with the Winston as well as when we saw the Bastion and when we saw the Symmetra. That was a really good idea from them to see, and this is something that teams have brought up over and over again, but making it work is the hardest part. Making sure that those rotations are going to be effective, that you're using the teleporter right at the same time, and it's not getting destroyed, leaving someone behind, which is exactly what happened. Fairfield now, I don't know exactly what they want to do. They can go maybe with the dive and playing a little bit more aggressive, but they already tried this and it didn't work. All they can do is try to get the ultimate economy faster than University of Colorado, trying to push their advantage there, because there's a lot of time the University of Colorado has, 4 minutes 52, like you said. Fairfield needs to try to match it up.
If not match it out, I mean, right now you just got to focus on getting the job done. You need both points. If you can get both points, push this into overtime, you know, maybe you have another chance. Come back at that defense with a different composition, or maybe try the same composition and, you know, work out the kinks. But 0-2, 4 minutes and 52 seconds on the clock on the final map. What could be the final map? University of Colorado are just in such a good position for Fairfield. The mental game of Overwatch has to be difficult right now.
Yeah, and now that Echo actually really good decision from Fairfield University, especially when University of Colorado. Okay, never mind, I take it back. But they were definitely, if they decide to commit with it, they can play this Zenyatta, they can take this Zenyatta down, and that's going to be the opening. But making sure that they're having the right positioning here.
Oh, there it is, the early kill onto Zenyatta and forcing out the res from Bird Boys. Now with great aspects back from spawn, this puts a little bit of wind into Fairfield's sails as WLK gets the rotation around. Trying to take care of anybody on the high ground, but not able to land the shots. Funkmaster and Daddy D are now getting the jobs done. Fairfield put into an awkward position as their Diva getting taken out of the fight, as well as their Soldier. And only able to call one of the DPS from University of Colorado. The Shadow goes into the Winston bubble, and it gets completely thrown aside.
And with that, Parzival was able to get 2 kills, so more control for University of Colorado. Seems like it was a very in-the-moment reaction to try to use a Shatter to charge. Not as effective as you would want to see from Fairfield University. Now they have to try to build this ultimates again. You want to use even if they have to use all 6 ultimates, and that's going to be their win condition, then that's exactly what they need to do. University of Colorado has everything they can initiate once again, build a Valkyrie for next fight, taking one step ahead, like what they've been doing before.
And I have to believe that Adric thought the Winston bubble was gonna break, and it was unfortunate that it didn't. But University of Colorado in this defense still holding strong as the res comes through. Tackpfizer from WLK is gonna put a little bit of fear into the heart of Parzival, but with the rest of the team there, gonna get mitigated as well. So ultimates to boot. University of Colorado not just in a good position, not just in a great position, but this is pretty much the ideal spot that a defending team wants to be in.
Yeah, they have everything but the Valkyrie that they just use, and that's not even going to affect them too much. They have every single initiation tool that they might need. Ideally, you do want to use the EMP, but even if they decide to save it for next fight, they can still initiate with Bob, delaying that push a little bit more, and there's only 1 minute 35 seconds remaining around for Fairfield University. How are they going to start this out?
Well, it looks like they're going to try to get that EMP down, and it's going to land, and Bob with the boot in their spawn. Funkmaster will fall, but they've got so many ultimates online that University of Colorado was going to be able to stabilize and wait for Funkmaster to get back into the picture. Fairfield, though, if they have the ability, they've just regrouped. They need to press W and try and catch Funkmaster in that rotation back from spawn.
Yeah, at least that EMP was used for University of Colorado. Now Fairfield can try to use a duplicate, initiating him with the Valkyrie with the kill distance as well, but this is the last opportunity that they're gonna have.
There goes the coalescence from Mask. Valkyrie from Chill, and looks like a Graviton as well coming out there from Ruby. Great aspects, trying to build one of their own on the echoed Zarya. But however, getting hacked by Daddy D, not going to be able to do so. WLK able to find the kill into Funkmaster once again before the Primal Rage can get expended, and does have the Dragons available. Fairfield now with a little bit of light on the horizon, resing right in front of WLK. What a savage Bird Boys is, bringing things back to life. And with that resurrect, University of Colorado are going to be able to put the final nail in the coffin with only 16 seconds and 2 ultimates left. Fairfield University need but a miracle to get themselves on point and on top.
WLK definitely didn't expect the audacity of that rest. Now this is the last opportunity they can touch, but doesn't seem like they're gonna get the point.
Yeah, 2 early kills for University of Colorado are gonna set up a stone cold defense. And Fairfield are gonna have to walk away with a 3-6 record in 0-3 for the day, while University of Colorado pushes themselves into a positive win-loss record at 5-4.
Yeah, looking really good for University of Colorado. They look like a completely different team compared to every time we see them struggle a little bit more. It seems like they have fixed those issues. They have the momentum, and they are playing to compositions that are benefiting them so much. And this is something that really takes time to build up, that synergy, and deciding what composition is not going to only benefit you, but the rest of your team on whatever map you're going to play. The University of Colorado did a really good job. Fairfield University seems like they had the right idea, but they just couldn't implement it properly.
Well, you know, if to be honest, from what I saw from Fairfield, it just seemed like when it came down to it, University of Colorado kind of had the answer for everything they throw. Like you said earlier in our cast, we didn't really see any surprises from Fairfield. Even the Bastion strategy is, you know, a strategy that you see on ladder quite frequently. Whereas University of Colorado, they found a composition that was comfortable. They found a composition that was effective, and they were able to push through with it.
Yeah, and at least, you know, if you're University of Colorado, you feel pretty confident for the future matches. And that, like we said, it was exactly what they were trying to do, have the positive win rate. And that's exactly what we need here in EGF. There are many teams that haven't been able to do this. It's very tough. There's a lot of competition, but now they have the possibility of really evaluating, having those VAR reviews and seeing how they can win against those tougher teams.
Looks like I've accidentally hit my mute button. What a funny situation, but not for me. But it looks like Fairfield, although they weren't able to take the W here, they'll have some great footage, of course, to work on and get better in the future of the season. And speaking of the future, we do have I believe we have William and Mary going off against DePaul University up next, which you're staying for Dryad, but I'm going to be stepping out. Sir Waltham is going to be taking my spot. So, you know, I'm so glad that I got to cast these 2 matches, and I hope you guys have enjoyed the Overwatch that you've seen. We are going to go to a quick break while we set things up for an interview possibly, but stick around and see if that happens. It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We have that interview for you right now. We have Cloud, the DPS from University of Colorado. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm feeling great.
You better be feeling great. That was a show of force there, if I will. And I mean, I just want to ask before I pass it over to Dryad, coming into this split, you guys were basically on paper right on par with Fairfield University, but coming out of this matchup, it doesn't seem like that's the case. It looks like you guys are shooting for the top of the leaderboard. How do you feel coming into this split? What changed?
We feel good. This is actually the first semester I've been on the CU team, so it's good to find a new team to play with, and we're scrimming more, we're playing more, we're analyzing our gameplay more, and I think we just have a lot of like team synergy that is going to carry us pretty far this semester. So yeah.
Sounds good. I like the confidence in there. Dryad, you had some questions?
Yeah, so I have 2 questions for you. The first one is going to be, so tell me a little bit about the Tracer gameplay that we saw beginning in Alias. I think it was very, very interesting to see where it just popping off. How is this, is this your main? Is this one of the heroes that you play the most? Or you also play a bunch of other heroes, but...
Yeah, I'm mainly a hit scan player, and Tracer's like one of my top 3, top 4. But I really couldn't have done that if it wasn't for my main tank Funk. Funk creates so much space for me, and then I can just go into the back line and just shred them like no other. And my other DPS, D, he doesn't play Sombra a lot, but when he does it, he's insane on the Sombra, just hacking really high priority targets and letting me kill them for free. So I couldn't have done that without Funk and D for sure. But yeah, it was a really fun map.
Yeah, you guys definitely had the synergy, and we could tell everyone does, the tanks are creating the space, and you guys were getting the kills. Everyone was doing a really, really good job. And like you mentioned a little bit of the practice that you've been having with your team. So you said it's the first semester. How long have you been practicing, and how has it been? Have you been confident with them? And is there maybe like a team that you're expecting to phase as? Do you think it's going to be a little bit more challenging?
I don't know. I haven't looked at all the teams this semester and how they did, but last semester I came in for the last game and we played one of the top teams, and I believe we went 2-3 against them, and we were expected to like, get 3-0'd. And I was really happy with our performance on that because it was the first time I played with them, and our synergy was really, really good. But yeah, we're scrimming more. We have a lot of lots of plans to scrim more as a team and just boost up our synergy and our comps. We really liked running the double bubble comp of like Winston Zarya because our Zarya and Winston could just pinch off their supports and their main tanks and just let me and D just frag out on their supports. So it's pretty easy with double bubble.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully we can see you guys pop off even more in the future. Do you have any shout-outs you want to give to your team? Any words that you want to tell them? Anything?
Yeah, I want to shout out Weird and Pars because we thought our game today was going to be at 5:30 our time, but it was 4 p.m. our time, so we had to get 2 subs. And even with the subs, we rolled. So I want to shout them out, and then also shout out to Ruby and Bird. Ruby for coming late, and then Bird for just being a really fun Mercy pocket.
Well, there you have it, folks. Once again, Cloud, thank you so much for joining us, and it really does sound like you've been a bit of a fire underneath the buttocks of the CU team. Coming into the last field, y'all were able to put up you were the only team actually that game against UT Arlington. You guys were the first team to take 2 maps off of UT Arlington in that split. So, keep up the momentum. You guys are doing absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
And well, folks, that's going to be it for me here at the EGFC. But please stay tuned. Dryad is going to be carrying it through to the next cast, as well as Sir Weldon joining them. But stay tuned, because we've got more Overwatch on the way.